This episode is brought to you by Hub24, whose purpose is to connect advisors to innovative solutions that create opportunity. They're massive supporters of advisors, in particular those going solo, and they're one of the early players in the managed account space, and their epic functionality in that area, as well as their commitment to user experience, has led them to become a market leader in terms of advisor satisfaction. I can speak from personal experience when I say their BDM team are total legends, and they're there to help you work through the best solutions for your business. So you can check out more information at hub24.com.au. This episode is also brought to you by Centuria, who are a boutique, ultra high performing fund manager. They've won pretty much all the awards there are to win. They've got a bunch of 5-star rated funds, and they're heavy into technical support for advisors around their products and strategies. On top of that, they're just an awesome group of people, and they've got a dedicated team there to support you. And if you haven't already spoken to the guys at Centuria and heard about what they do yourself a favor and reach out.
G'day. What are you doing? Strike a light. This is Clayton with the Paddy. What's happening, my man?
Mate, just all pumped about everything. Like, we just had 1,700 people tick over in the Facebook group.
We did. Yes, I noticed that. Do you remember for the first 1,000, we'd celebrate every 100? It was like, we've hit 100, yay. We've hit 200, yay. 300, 400, 500.
It's like when you have your first birthday. It's like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah. We got to 1,000. We're like, I think we better stop doing this. It's getting a little old.
Yeah, and just, I guess, like, you can have lots of people in there, but I guess the thing that, I guess, Clay watches constantly is just the value. Like we're just always wanting to see value, and if like quantity doesn't equal quality necessarily, like some of the people jump in and add value to each other, and
it's such a weird thing, that Facebook group, because as financial advisors, we live under so much compliance that basically in our free times, we just want to be left the hell alone. And it was a real kind of struggle with what kind of guidelines, what kind of rules that we should put in the group. We lent towards no rules for so long. So for 2 years, I don't know if everyone knows this, but for 2 years we held the group on LinkedIn. And there was no rules. It was just anyone posts.
And there was no engagement.
And there was zero engagement. So all that ended up happening was it became a news aggregation site, a place for people to post their own blogs.
Mind you, LinkedIn was not healthy. Like their algorithms were... I think they picked up their game because they realised that, you got to actually...
Yes.
Bring in the good content.
Yeah, correct. So, LinkedIn's improved a lot, but certainly the purpose of the XY Advisor group for 2 years on LinkedIn was to create an environment for people to share, but no one did. Really, it just became this sort of post an article.
And what do you think was the reason?
I think it's just because that's pretty typical. People just like to post articles.
Is it because LinkedIn's like a bit more of a sort of boring space? It's a bit more sort of everyone's always polishing themselves up before they put something on LinkedIn. It's a very image-focused, looking good without actually being authentic sort of environment.
Yeah, definitely I think LinkedIn was a factor. But the fact that we were the laziest moderating team that's ever existed for 2 years meant that we ended up with bad results. And then we sort of went away and did all this Facebook group training, or at least some of us did. And
I learned from you, Clay.
And it turned out that the healthiest online communities and groups were those with not heaps of rules, but a couple of rules, and then those rules were enforced pretty strictly.
By the rule Nazi. AKA Clayton and Adrian.
Well, thankfully it's not me anymore. Thankfully it's me. It hasn't been.
It actually self-regulates these days.
Yeah. So it was a problem up until about 1,000, and then we realized at that point it was impossible for us to do it. And we've had different moderating teams over that time. But certainly the community flagging and reporting posts makes our job a lot easier, because simply like no one has time to read up to and above 300 comments a day. That's just, not every day has that many, but it certainly spikes to be above 300. And that's just an impossibility. No one can be expected to do that. So
there's and we can tell how many non-comment engaged people are out there as well. There's
definitely.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see how many people are actually just consuming the content and getting value out of it. And
so out of a group of 1,100 recently have been going on every day within a 24-hour period. Within a week, there's 85% of the group. Within a month, 90%, and over 2 months, 95% of the people go onto the group. So, that's really high levels of engagement. And our commitment is that we continuously make sure that it's moderated well. And we had heaps of awkward conversations at first.
Ooh, yeah.
Heaps.
That was...
It was
intense.
Yeah, it was. And
not always seeing eye to eye, hey Clay?
Yeah. But eventually, we've landed on, I think there's about 7 or 8 different guidelines on the group itself. Which
logic prevailed, as in what you wanted to happen,
yeah. Precisely. and so now there's not so much, everything's pretty clear, and the culture is, keeps everything mostly in line. If we let the ball drop, if people, unbeknownst to them, are sort of breaking the rules and posting things that aren't meant to be posted, and we aren't flagged, and it doesn't turn up, in our checks and balances, occasionally things get through, and then what's awkward is that a lot of people have seen it, the breach of this particular guideline, and then it really descends quite quickly.
Well, if they see it and then it gets deleted a bit later, then
if something's up for a day or maybe 2 days before, because the way the group doesn't necessarily put the most recent thing up the top, and so if you might go on, you might not see something because of the algorithm for a couple of days.
What's the thing around like with the events? We keep on having people go, I didn't even know the event was on, because we put it up on the didn't you see the banner up the top? And so many people are just coming in to the group when they see their other Facebook friends make a mention, and then they'll come in, check it out, have a bit of read, comment, and out they go. So they sort of miss anything that's sort of pinned or...
Yes, which makes it difficult. Obviously, a lot of people are still seeing it, but there is absolutely an issue with us connecting with everyone, especially when there's an event on, because you're right, the group is great for communication, but it's not perfect. The way to get around that is to use text messages. And we've opted to not use text messages. So we don't text anyone anything, purely based on the fact that it's a little bit intrusive.
But we're open to any feedback. If anyone says, take my mobile number, I'm happy to receive a text to let me know what's going on.
I don't know. I'd be interested to know what people think about text messaging, in general.
Even Messenger on Facebook as well.
Yeah, Facebook Messenger. Now... Because basically, XY Advisor is just, think of it in the same way as you'd think about your own financial planning business. Do you text your clients? Do you text your potential clients? Do you contact them? And we've sort of erred on the side of not being intrusive, but I don't know. I don't know if that's the best way moving forward.
We'll let the people decide.
Well, how do we let the people decide, Paddy? What do you suggest?
Tell us if you're listening. If anyone listens to the podcast out there.
Well, 1,000 people a week do, mate. So what are you asking them?
Well, how do you want us to let you know what's going on? Because, stuff going to be happening and you don't want to miss out. So,
because you're a fan of the text message, aren't you?
Oh, I used to be. I'm really once we started looking at bots and stuff after Stuart Bell's session, and then started looking at these bots, and they're bloody cool. they can sort of we've got the event now. You can actually go into it and like get your ticket all inside Messenger. Like it's really cool.
So has that been set up now?
Yeah. So when you click on the event now, you don't actually go out of Facebook. You just you don't go to Eventbrite landing page. It's actually Eventbrite inside Facebook.
Right.
So really smooth, frictionless experience, which is
And that's on the Facebook page or the Facebook group?
that's on
Was
where
it
we post an event, I believe, yeah, and on the page. Like it's actually integrated wherever you actually place events of Facebook is integrated with Eventbrite now. So
Right.
So wherever we place an event, then people can sort of, if they click through the event, that'll just take them through that journey. And
Understood.
yeah, it's interesting.
So have we actually done that for this event coming up?
For sure.
Have we?
Yeah.
We've got an event set up.
Oh, we've got an event. Yeah.
But I mean, an
In
event
Messenger.
set up in Messenger.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. How's
It's cool,
that going?
eh? It's cool.
Have we rolled it out?
Oh, it's just there. People
It's
are clicking
just
on it.
there.
I'll have to check the stats, see how many people are actually using it.
Where do they click on it?
Well, it's integrated with events. You know, you post the event in the Facebook group now,
Right.
or like traditionally.
Yeah.
That when people click through that, it goes through the Messenger now.
Okay.
And then also if you go through any other location, whether it's on the page, it's sort of, I don't know. This is all cool stuff. Worth having a crack, seeing if people...
Right. So we're using bots. Okay. So if someone texts us through Messenger, they're not talking to us anymore. They're talking to a bot.
Well, don't know if we've worked that out yet, refined that yet.
Okay.
They're still talking to Emily, really.
Right.
Which is good because I think...
Well, Em's an awesome community manager.
Oh, if I was going to talk to anyone next, I'd talk to Em. Like,
Yeah, same. There's no question there. So groups event, probably by the time that this goes live, the Brisbane event would have happened. So let's chat about the Perth event. I think
exciting. First event in Perth.
Yeah.
It's a long bloody way, but
Yeah.
it's a good place. Looking forward to Fremantle Brewery.
Yeah, definitely.
Little creatures. It's
yeah.
the home of little creatures.
I think we're all going to be we're all making the jump over to Perth for this one, but we've probably bitten off more than we can chew as far as events this year. We're doing one pretty much every single month this year, all over Australia.
It just gets it happens, but it doesn't happen easily all the time. Especially when you want to make sure the content's good.
I love it when you sold the idea of an event every month. You're like, they're easy. They're just easy. And then talking to Em, she's like, no, they're not easy. They're really hard.
She's getting better at it. It's getting easy. By the
It's
end of
easy
the
for
year,
you because you don't have to do anything.
hey, I liaise and assist.
Yeah. Absolutely. And our membership portal, the XYU. Yeah. What's going on? When's this coming out?
It looks really pretty.
It looks amazing. But we haven't launched it yet. Why? What's
It could
going
launch
on?
by now.
We could definitely have launched it by now.
No, I mean, like by the time this goes out, like it could be like people could be looking at it while they're listening.
Fair enough. I believe it's just xyadvisor.com, right?
Oh, well, that's the current website, yeah. But the new one will,
The new one will essentially just get replaced. So we're getting rid of our sort of useless,
Yeah. It's a nice billboard of what we do.
Right. It does.
People don't know about XYadvisor. Look it up. And
It
says
does
what
absolutely
what it
nothing.
is.
Yeah. But anyway, so by the time that this podcast comes out, there's a very good chance that xyadvisor.com will be the new online portal XYU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a new gateway to cool shit.
A new gateway to cool shit.
I've been wanting to do heaps of stuff.
Is that
that's the tagline?
That's the tagline?
Yeah.
A new gateway to cool shit.
No. XYU, your gateway to cool shit.
Why do I feel like
Is it good that we send that
the
filter
worst
the marketing through
tagline
you?
of all time?
It's the real deal. Are you denying it's not going to be cool shit?
No, it's going to be awesome. But look, obviously, Paddy, that is not the tagline. What is the tagline? Do we have a tagline? Is there a
I thought that was
tagline?
your department.
It is my department, isn't it? XYU, new gateway for cool shit.
Yeah, that's it. It's catchy, isn't it?
Right, I have no.
I don't know what you'd
no
rhyme it
idea.
with. Yeah.
Yeah. Have some jingle.
But yeah, we got some there's going to be some cool courses in there. And I've got all these ideas that I'm not allowed to put in there yet.
Yeah. We'll build it out. First of all, it's education. Then it's going to be sort of a resource, a better, a more searchable function for the Facebook group, right?
Yeah, I reckon because I think one of the challenges with the Facebook, it's great for having a conversation and activity, but I guess a lot of people really struggle with, if you think about how much content's gone through, the search function, it ain't Google inside Facebook, that's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff is really difficult to find.
And some of the best value is in the files section. Some of the stuff people will have shared. If you haven't seen it yet, go check out the files section.
Yeah.
Because
files
it's just
tab. It's a tab within the group. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just got awesome content, client engagement material, just different ways. Some advisors are really using the group as a sort of a beta test of new concepts that they're thinking of. And I think it's been working really well and helping people get insights into why others are thinking, but then also helping whoever's sharing because they're getting feedback. And I think that's a really good function. When people are crowdsourcing ideas on how they're doing things, I think that adds value to everybody. So don't be shy. Throw stuff out there. Ask for a review. What do you got to lose? Someone goes, oh, you could add this and that.
Yeah. Because most posts pick up quite a number of comments. One of the most liked posts that I've seen recently is Sam Henderson's on air calling Bill Shorten a goose.
Yes, because he's some flagged ideas for change in the franking space.
Frank getting rid of franking credits. Is that basically it?
Nah, I don't think. I think it's the not the full franking. It's it's the cash refund bit. So I think when you're in the pension phase and it's just free money.
Yeah. Well, it's not really free money. Technically, it's all legit. The company's paid 30%, but the tax environment that owns that dividend is actually 0%. So you should get that 30% back.
Carries through.
How is that? That is totally legit.
Are you going to call Bill Shorten a goose?
Bill Shorten, you are a goose.
There we go. That's the most political we've been in a while. Actually, I did say to Em to reach out to Turnbull and see if we can get him in. That'd be cool.
Turnbull, yeah. I mean, we've done quite well to never discuss politics, so it's probably not a great idea to start now.
The other one was really cool. Imagine if we got Joe Hockey in. How cool would that be?
The ex-treasurer.
He'd be fun, I reckon.
Just big old cigars.
Yeah.
Just puffing away.
Get away with that in here. But
yeah, probably not.
It'd be a good chat, I reckon.
Mate.
Especially ex-MPs are so cool. They're not restrained anymore.
Johnny Howard and Bob Hawke. Yeah. How good are those dudes?
Well, Bob Hawke, you got to get just...
Man, I wish I could go drinking.
Certain skills that, not everyone has.
Bob Hawke and Johnny Howard, I would love to go drinking with just both of those boys.
Not Keating?
No,
he's not going to get you excited.
No.
What about Beasley? He'd be all right. He'd probably talking about almost deputies. What about Barnaby? He likes to drink. You could.
Barnaby loves a good drink.
Actually, he'd be fun
He gets on the muck up. Clearly,
he'd be good on the podcast.
Jesus.
Actually, he's sort of been freed up with his time. Maybe we should invite him on.
The beetroot himself, the dog-hating beetroot.
We're not going to get him on with that talk. The beauty is that maybe a lot of people don't listen to it before they come.
We'll just tell him that a new staff member has recently joined, and he'll.
Come on, Clay. I'm the one that's meant to be inappropriate.
Right. Well,
that's a low blow.
Obviously, his behaviour was very inappropriate.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on from politics. So what's going on with your business anyway? This new startup you got going on. How's it all coming together?
We're just looking at how to add value.
It's pretty cool, but right,
across the financial services spectrum.
Yeah, go into it a little bit more. So including accounting.
Yeah, accountants, linking in with advisors, and then also bringing in other financials like mortgage broking and general insurance, and making it really accessible. Like there's so much stuff that you can do around. Like if you think about all the stuff that where everyone's trying to adopt and move forward with in advice, a lot of these other areas as well, they're in the same state. There's a lot of scope for making experiences of the advisor, broker, accountant more frictionless, and the client at the same time. So like, it gets me excited.
Because we both started out with a little sole practice financial planning business, and then we've basically both almost retired from that as well. It was like the first iteration of our financial planning businesses. We kind of went, actually, it's the classic business. And then being as exposed as we are to the XY advisor community and learning as much as we have, we probably learn as much as anyone in the community, right?
Well, it almost started because we were just curious about what everyone else was doing.
Yeah, great. And that hasn't changed at all. And from everything we've learned, we've kind of pivoted, so to speak.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like, I guess Caitlin, who was on previously, that'd be a great podcast if it hasn't come out yet. If it has, go check it out. Talking about just entrepreneurs being crazy. So,
yes, there is certainly that. I find financial planners aren't too crazy though.
Well,
they're not too
different
bad.
types of financial advisors. There's ones that are really good at just nailing their scope, and there's ones that want to see what they can do around that predefined environment.
Well, what do you think is the best financial planning business model out there?
Whew.
Yeah, big
That's
question.
tough.
Okay, I'll go first. All
right.
I'll let you think, because I've thought a little bit about this. I think it is the lifestyle / cash flow / investment / property company that's very focused on everything besides what's inside a superannuation fund and an insurance policy, and charge above $5,000 for initial advice and above $5,000 for ongoing advice. And those clients don't necessarily have to have $1 million in assets, but they typically earn $150,000 plus. That's, to me, that is a bit of a sweet spot as far as being able to add value to someone's life through what you offer, and then earn value from your clients. Because if you look at the other one, which is ultra high net worth, that space is very, very saturated. Yeah. Every man and their dog, basically, anyone that's been an advisor for a long time, basically, they've all got that market covered. It's going to be very hard to start a business and to enter into that world where you're picking up clients with $20 million. And then charging.
And it's also a different proposition.
It's a very different proposition.
Most people aren't equipped to deal with clients like that because it's
yeah.
majority.
I don't think what they do is spectacularly that different.
You go from a client with 500,000 to one with 20 million?
I don't think it's particularly that different if you're just doing asset management.
Well,
which is pretty typical old school financial advice.
Oh yeah, but you're talking about like cash flow and different sort of things. You're dealing with different structures.
Well, specifically, that's why I talked about net worth and not cash flow, because that space of retirees and multiple millions of dollars is definitely more than saturated, and it's going to be very hard to walk into that. But there is a massive underserviced population for those people that are earning twice the average, because it especially in Sydney, that happens far more frequently than you'd imagine.
what people
earning like say 150K above.
Yeah, it's got what's the biggest population, so it's got more.
Yeah, it's a big number of people, and then you get the other option is to go down to the mums and dads, who are combined income of 80K or less, and then it's harder. It's harder to it's not hard to add value. It's really easy to add value, but it's hard to charge.
Yeah,
and it's hard to value your own time.
Well, this is where tech comes in. So I got a dream, Clay.
Well, here you go. So
I got a dream.
So that was my opinion, right, on the best business model. Obviously there are people like Peter Diamantidis who have Caboodle, who have a business model that take care of that low income space, not for all the clients, but she's got a real streamlined process on how to add value. And so I'm definitely not saying it's not possible, but is that what you were alluding to?
There's a few that I'd articulate, but in terms of, I reckon what you've got is the high touch model where you charge more, and that's like you're spending more time with clients, so you're justifying charging more, often dealing with more complexity. But then you come into less complexity and more and same level of touch, interest in advice, but then not the disposable income to pay for advice is lower. So you come into a difficult business scenario where you're going, well, you got people that want to deal with you want to deal with them, but how do you make it economical? And I just think tech is the way. It's sort of like there's automation, and then there's I guess enablement of what would be seen as a high touch experience through technology.
What kind of tech are you talking about here?
Well, so through the advice process, like having a team, and this is maybe the structure of advice businesses, having people in your team that can add a certain level of value that goes up to the advisor space is really important, I think, to sort of keep on elevating, making sure the advisor's pushed as high up the value chain as possible at all times. And often, it's more challenging to have a business where the advisor's sort of playing a broader scope of delivery. So where they're reaching into administration, they're reaching into research, they do all the client contact. And when you've got that situation, without charging a lot of money, it's hard to match up with that time spent. And it makes it challenging to sort of...
well, what tech would you use to get around that?
Well, to start with, it's all digital. You get data digital. You can do what you want with it.
I want brand names.
I want brand names.
Yeah. What kind of tech are you using?
Well, you just use online forms.
Like?
Well, you can use Jotform, Typeform, FormStack.
Okay.
Depending on your CRM, because the thing
what CRM do you use?
Well, I use Practify.
Practify. Okay.
Yeah, and then I plug into other specialised services like Midwinter, Advice Oz, and others. There's lots of...
what else?
Well, I've got My Prosperity feeding through at the moment.
What do you get My Prosperity to do?
Gives the data. So the thing is, I suppose we've orchestrated a bit of a way where you can sign someone up to My Prosperity or any of these, Money Brilliant, Moneysoft in the fact-finding process, and you can make use of that historical 12-month data to orchestrate what the expenses profile is. Which to me, historically, when I've tried to do, go to do that with clients, it's one of the biggest pain points.
Right. So you're saying you like to have clients that come in, they can do the fact-finding process, and what, in a very early stage in the process, you can tell them what their historical expenses have been. That's kind of cool. So you're doing that before they even become a client. You say, well, this is your current situation. This is where you've been spending your money. No,
they've committed to... It's like the second meetings, in between the first and second meeting.
Okay.
So...
And that'd be kind of cool if people could do that pre becoming a meeting.
Yeah, well, it's sort of... I think it's about, if you've got really good engagement before your first meeting, you could orchestrate that. It depends how you run it. If you have less touch points before that first meeting, then you probably don't want to put anything in front of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of touch points pre first meeting is the way to go. I was reading on the Facebook group the other day. Some people like to charge an initial meeting fee of $70. I believe that was getting thrown around. You could use that $70 to fund sort of a first month of My Prosperity. You could get those people to come in, and so when they come in before they're even a client, you could tell them this is where the money is being spent, and you could show them how that differs from, say, an ideal client scenario.
Benchmarking is something that a lot of people that specialize in.
That's kind of cool to show people what the issue is before they've even become a client. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, these personal finance apps or portals, the data that they're bringing in is enabling. Yeah, it's reducing friction in the client data gathering experience for the advisor and the client, and it's also, I guess, enabling a bit more accuracy of intel sometimes. It's another tool. So a lot of some practices use it from a prospecting standpoint. So
My Prosperity,
these other like Money Brilliant, etc. The
prospecting tool.
Yeah, well, you got a free version that doesn't get the data feeds.
Right.
So, and even if you can make the function for people to upgrade, and instead of having so if someone's gone down the journey to upgrade their account, that's engagement. So maybe you don't mind paying, like giving them 1 month free just to.
Well, that's like $20 or something, not even $10.
Yeah, it's under that, depending on which one you use, between $10 and $20.
Yeah. So if you're charging $70 for an initial meeting fee, that's funded. Right there, it's funded.
Oh, it depends what you want to fund. You might be funding the cost of the software. What about your own time?
Well, are you charging for an initial meeting?
No.
Well, there you go.
Oh, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying that's the way to go. I'm just saying, like, other people are talking about like $200-$300 fee for the first meeting.
It's an interesting concept. It really depends. Yeah, because obviously, for example, XY Advisor charges $40, give or take, for an event cost. Now, we use all that money to then spend it on booze and food anyway.
Food too.
Yeah, food too. But we originally started doing that to increase the numbers of those that would turn up. So the story goes,
the buy-in of paying.
If you give away free tickets, you get a massive non-show. So we've always charged. I think we started at $30, went to $40. I think we went up to $50 at one stage, and we've brought it back down to $40. We're just like, okay, look, $40 pays for everything.
You're leading me to think into like that one-to-many advice client approach. So we've talked about like, I guess maybe a more traditional model where, you're dealing with, you got your practice, you're getting referrals, etc. from people. Then there's some businesses that have more corporatized referral relationships where they might be aligned with an accounting firm, with a mortgage broker and that sort of thing. And those are some of the best advice businesses as well because they getting fed clients. But if you look at some of those businesses, you're not necessarily always controlling what type of client you get. Right. And this is where some businesses really nail it because they go through the marketing channel or the one-to-many engagement channel. And this is sort of where, by what you throw out there is what you attract.
Yep.
So like when we talk about niching, it's the people, it's like what Lee Shodell does. She throws out the wellness, the relationship with money, and that's what she gets. She gets people that want that.
Yes.
And that's what you attract in.
Yes.
Like a Del Martin, another good example. The way what she puts out there in terms of value, building the trust, the style of the personality that's put out in your branding as well, then also defines the people.
Yeah.
So you're starting to really curate a stream of a similar sort of, because people self-select. If you think about just how, like, I go into a meeting room and you go into a meeting room, people self-select.
Well, I'm going to get the client every time.
Sure.
They're going to walk out and be like, who is this monkey? Who is this Adrian Paddy, this hairy gorilla?
I like him. He seems cool. And then they're like, who's this sort of upstanding bloke? He looks a bit too serious, taking himself way too seriously.
Yeah.
But like, it's that personality bit. I think if you talk about like any of these channels, it's still that still comes through with how you communicate. Its personality is, the business is to an extent, like obviously it's what you're delivering, but at the same time people buy from people they like.
Yeah, well, of course.
And you're halfway there if they like you.
One thing that I think advisors have never focused on, to my knowledge, is spending money. We don't really talk about how to help people get the most out of what they spend. I think that's a really cool concept, that there is room to help people get the most out of the money that they spend.
Well, it's a good way to lose clients. I did that a bit.
What was that?
Clients, young people in their 20s wanting to be serious. And then I'm like, have you thought about traveling? What about traveling? Like, seriously, come on. What do you want to buy a house for? Like, that's boring. You're still young.
Well, yeah. And
I've actually...
That's that whole lifestyle
and this hasn't been a recommendation. I've just been like poked and just like, guys, come on. I'm trying to save them like making the wrong decisions. It's like, think about how cool it would be to be overseas.
Yeah. Honestly, I lost a couple of clients to overseas travel as well, and to moving overseas, definitely, because I was sort of in their ear quite a bit. And that's lifestyle management, you know. It's okay. Are you going to miss an important part of your life just purely based on you were over planning too young? And then, you know, on the opposite side, it's a case of, well, are you not planning enough? And
overspender, underspender.
Overspend and underspenders. Yeah. But coming back to the spending of money, you know, we can all sort of help people allocate $300 or whatever a week to spend on themselves. But we don't really do a lot as far as helping them get the best bang for buck, right? So by that I mean, you know, like, do you ever help people negotiate a better electricity contract?
Not electricity, no.
Even though you can get a 40% reduction right now just by calling up Energy Australia and saying Origin Energy approached me.
Well, like, on that note, now we're talking about the data feeds and the personal finance apps.
Yes.
That's the space that they're now able to move into.
What do you mean?
Well, if there's certain transactions, if you've got a Energy Australia bill, your transaction line's going to be this. And if you can then pick that up and go, this is a bill. And then if you know that there's a more cost competitive versus the standard rates there, you can compare what people are paying to, and just throw it up in front of them and give them the opportunity to.
But you can literally call, you know, Energy Australia, and within 15 minutes get a 12-month discount on your electricity just by calling them. I never did that with a client, but it's kind of strange.
But
that we don't.
Absolutely. Well, think about it just being prodded to do that. Like, at least that. Think about that value being added.
Did you know if you've lived in a house for 2 years, you can get...
You own it.
No. Well, no, you can get Energy Australia to give you a flat electricity bill.
What, for life?
Well, up until you move again. If you've been in a place for 2 years, they can give you a fixed cost electricity bill.
How's that look? Like, what? So you just, as long as you stay there, you get the same rate?
Yep.
Nope, didn't know that one.
Yeah, because I was looking, electricity. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm stuck on this electricity bill, but it's definitely.
Has your power bill gone up recently, Clay?
No, it did. Hence why I did a lot of researching into this. But there's all these ways to help people spend money that we don't focus on for whatever reason, even though it's a key part of someone's life.
What sort of spending?
You know, what happens if someone likes to go traveling? Are we sending these people deals? You know, like someone
travel deals.
Yeah, I just feel like there's a whole space that we're not entering into.
Well, you definitely got to watch this space, because like when we were talking about before about linking up different financial services and making them frictionless, think about the experience people go through when they're going to get general insurance, or when they're going to get home and contents, or they're going to get car finance. It's this experience where it's at a level where like you're generally dealing directly with a product provider. So what that means is it puts you into, maybe I've got to do some research online. You end up with one of these sort of, like we had Finder on the other week, end up somewhere like that, or other websites comparing. But then you sort of still need to go in and get the exact quote around your certain circumstances. And then you want to check another one. And all of a sudden you've spent like hours getting something that maybe will cost $700
Right.
a year. And you think about that from a standpoint of what we could add value to is removing that experience. So, and the issue that's going on there is that like off these lower value services, it doesn't justify having that professional broker sort of experience going on. But what you can do is make use of technology to facilitate.
What technology?
Online forms.
Online forms. Yeah.
Because the information required to deliver some of these services compared to advice is much more, especially if you combine it to how much information you have as an advisor. So if you've got certain client information, they need a certain segment more, you've then got a situation where you only have to ask this amount of information. If you're solid on the information that you've got, you then can create an experience with the client's permission around privacy, etc., to then pass that information on behalf of the client to a next destination, which could be a facilitated service that gives a broking experience where their personal situation is taken into consideration, even in the lower value general insurance space or car finance space. And they're getting an outcome without paying extra, probably paying less compared to...
So you're talking about Finder?
Depends, because you still sort of, because the difference is when Finders, there's no person involved, is there?
Well, that's your point, right? That technology can take care of it.
Well, it's not completely taking care of people. It's almost going into that sort of bionic space in that, like, it's not fully automated.
Right.
There's an you've got a bit of an overseeing of like a service provider, and just a service provider, an intermediary between the products.
So Phasia.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
Don't have much to go with. You're just gonna. Do we really want to add like more just stuff into the mix of conversation around that space?
Well, it needs to be spoken about because it looks like a lot of advisors are stressing out. It looks like and it's a pretty big deal, you know. It's almost like it's the bar exam to become a financial planner, and it needs to be sat by everyone.
Well, if it was the bar exam, it probably wouldn't be as stressful for people, because the difference being in not having certainty about what commitment they've got to do. So a lot of advisors probably wouldn't be as stressed out if it was just the bar exam. Cool. I'm confident in what I know, what I've done, what I do. I'll be able to see that. That's fine. I back myself.
Yep.
It's the bit where you might have to do like a year, 2 years extra study when you're running a business and you've got a whole lot of other family obligations and things like that. That's what's stressing people out. The uncertainty around whether they'll have to take that obligation.
Because I know for a fact Phasia is completely ignoring the AFA and the FPA. They're working independently of them, which is pretty crazy, right? When you consider the AFA and the FPA are advisors' voice between the government and advisors. So for them to be completely ignored, I reckon is pretty outrageous. But that's what's happening, right? So
I
don't know.
Yeah, I just, with the accredited courses and things like that, like if you look at courses validation over like how long courses actually stay relevant, some courses more than others, but a lot, like, and even you think about how much you retain sometimes when you do a course.
If someone has their FPA qualification for more than 20 years, I think at this stage, something like that, they probably the effort to get it back then was quite low. And I've only been told this by people who've had, you know, I didn't go through it myself. I was told this from people who went through it themselves. And so I guess that's why Phasia has said, well, we can't take the fact that you've got this qualification into consideration, because we don't know if you were some of the people that went through all the effort to get it, or if you were some of the people that didn't go through any or much effort to get it.
This is why maybe the single exam could be the way to go for.
Well, I think that's what they're proposing.
Well,
right?
but without the other things around course requirements.
Right. So you're suggesting...
Because if you're an existing advisor, especially if you've been going for years, you know a lot of shit.
Absolutely.
You know so much.
Yes.
And it's just, I'd love to know like what transitions look like in other like industries, whether they said, oh, yep, so you've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
You're now no longer a professional unless you do this. Like,
yeah. It's a big call. But at the same time, like, you know, this topic of professionalism is one that's been spoken about for as long as I've been in financial advice. And I guess this is just a line in the sand. And I guess it's going to piss off people. And I guess that there are going to be a lot of people that aren't happy about it. You know, you got someone like Ben who has a degree in financial planning, and that's not even on the list of accredited qualifications.
Mind you, I've heard the list is building out.
Okay.
Yeah, you can sort of like they're just gradually adding to it.
Right.
But it is a good point that highly educated people may not even make the list.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
But like at the same time, as you said, like this journey and the discussion that's going on needs to happen.
And if we don't have it, the Phasio have said, if we don't have this conversation, then it's just gonna happen separate to the whole industry. And
what's the concept of self-regulation versus imposed regulation?
Yeah.
I think there's been plenty of imposed regulation, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we know how that looks.
Yeah,
some of it's good, some of it's good, some of it's bad.
It's beautiful.
Right? Best interest duty, I think, along with an AFSL is an absolute ridiculous contradiction. I can't see how those two things coexist. But whereas FOFA, getting rid of investment commissions, I think is probably a good thing.
Well, it's some of the biggest changes in the way advice is done has been from simple changes.
Yeah.
Not the more complex prescriptive changes.
Yeah.
Just simple.
Because what's bid? Honestly, best interest duty is just qualify in quantitative terms what it is that you're going to do anyway. What changes?
Arguably hasn't been defined in, it's still...
I just haven't seen much change. I've just seen extra paperwork. You know, until AFSLs are gone, then what?
Well, that's an interesting space.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I the more I think about it, it's insane. AFSLs are insane. Absolutely. ASIC should have what is a product and what isn't a product.
Yep.
And then beyond that, why is there an additional level of due diligence? Which is just paid for anyway.
If it meets that base level.
It's paid for anyway, right? To get on to get on the shelf space on these big dealer groups, you pay to be there, right? It's not like it's
I've heard that may happen.
No, but that does happen. That does happen. That's not even. I don't even think that's a secret. So there just seems to best interest duty in AFSLs to me conflicts.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise around where I guess a lot of people can see advice going, and it's just trudging through this journey at the moment where tech's catching up and like communication, ways of conceptualizing and engaging with people is catching up with business value propositions, and it's all sort of coinciding that, the compliance will be made easier because of technology. The engagement will be facilitated easier because of technology.
What bothers me about financial advice is we attempt to just add in layers of complexity without actually changing what we're really focusing on. And it seems to me that it's remuneration models are what tend to be the hot topic for advisors, because as an advisor you want to earn as much money as possible. Obviously you're like any other person, but on the other side of that is how do you deliver as much value. And so I just don't see why we can't look at the remuneration models which get in the road of adding value. And there are these. A lot of the things have already been removed. a lot of them have already been removed, like investment commissions, volume bonuses from dealer group level. There's a lot that's been removed, and because of all that, I just can't. Now that those things have been achieved, we should be looking to get rid of those complexities, because a lot of that stuff was brought in to try and stop or reduce that.
Well, it's built around the product.
Yes.
And yeah, you take the product incentive out of it.
Correct.
Do you need as much
definitely no. You
friction around the advice process?
It was awesome on the group again. There was a 1-page financial plan and I looked at it and I was like, yeah,
someone using it or?
Well, no, like from back in the day. Back in the day, someone they came across this 1-page financial plan, and it hasn't a lot changed from that 1 page. It was just, instead of 1 page, you've got 60 pages, and a lot of it is just, giving some form of credibility to the decisions that were made. But if we're removing these conflicts of remuneration, we should be aiming to try and get back to that
1 page.
To that 1 page, because that's what we do anyway, right? We do it as SO, and then we go, and then we've got the summary. We've got the summary over here. We've got the PowerPoint up there. We're doing it anyway. And it's just, but here's your formal piece of written advice over here. And then sign the ATP just to say you received it. It's such a funny little thing, that a lot of times if you look at it rationally, it shouldn't exist.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. Anyway, so that's my little rant, mate. What's going on?
Oh, that's just, I can't back that up. That's just
bit too much high energy.
All right. Yeah. It's I reckon it's good to throw out new ways of things occurring, and discussion's good to have, and like we'd love to see on the Facebook group. Like, it's great as long as everyone's sort of constructive and I guess looking forward positively. And that's what we've always tried to do with XYO, is look forward positively.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, what are you doing? Like, if you're just complaining about what's going on now or in the past, like, you're not getting anywhere.
Enough of the industry is focused on the negative. Enough of the industry is focused on the finger pointing. That, we've just tried to be an anecdote to that. We're not the experts. We're the enthusiasts, right? A lot of the times when we talk about a subject, it comes from a desire to learn more and to have an opinion that is, somewhat naive, and
it represents our exposure to our colleagues.
Yes, yeah, and it's that view that we give, which is somewhat puerile in a lot of sense.
Bit soapboxy, you might say.
Bit soapboxy, a little, we've got a few romantic ideals, and I think as long as we're focused on that, we are, focused towards driving the positive evolution of financial advice. The rest of the industry can take care of the negative stuff.
Yeah, the future is bright.
The future is bright. Anyway, mate, let's wrap this up. Thanks, guys. Chat soon.